welcome back to a bright and sunny St. Louis. It is a beautiful, beautiful day out, and I'm excited to show you guys what we got going on this week. So let's get into it. So you can see I've been doing more stripping, pulling this apart, and I've also fixed this giant gouge that was in the wall here on the corner, and I've laid some corner bead in there, which is the little plastic bit you saw me put in here. I chose the plastic one because it had little better holes to hopefully hold this stuff on a bit better, and of course laid mesh over all that. So that corner is now fixed. The reason I didn't run it down all the way this wall isn't really cracked. There's a little minor one here, so I'm just gonna put finishing plaster directly over it. So it shouldn't require mesh or anything like that to stay stable because it's not in bad shape as is. Probably the same thing will happen over there, just like a really quick little skim coat. Fix the tiny little crack that's up there with maybe a little bit of mesh and call it a day. This wall here is gonna get, let me step back. Sorry, it's kind of a tight quarters here, guys. This wall here, don't mind the shadows. Obviously you can see there's a big crack right there. And so this wall will get mesh, but it will still be getting a finish or just a final coat on top of that mesh because there's no reason, like structurally this is sound. It's just, you know, the building moves over the eras and things crack, but the crack, it doesn't move. There's no movement here. So that means it's perfectly stable. There's just a crack that has appeared, and that happens. So we'll inlay mesh with the lime or gauged lime plaster, veneer plaster I'm gonna put up there. What I'm hoping to do today is this stuff up here. So basically this whole wall here. Oh yeah, I guess update for you guys. The roof is sort of fixed. It's not leaking water. It's really just a bunch of caulk at the moment. Really, I need to get some flashing on the windows for the third floor that lead out to that roof area. But I'll handle that here at some point. But currently it's not leaking. We had a really big thunderstorm the other day and not a drop of water in. So at least that issue is fixed, and that way I can now fix these issues. So I'm gonna take all this woodwork, trim work off, mark it. Always mark your woodwork, that way you know which piece goes which, because not everything's the same length, even though it looks like it. So be careful with that if you guys are handling something like this. But hopefully fix these giant gouges. I'm going to be using the same plaster that I have been using. But let me show you some of the new stuff that I've gotten that should be our final coat on a lot of this. So this here, guys, is my lime veneer. You see it's a lime finish made by Ivory. This stuff, you do have to put some gypsum in it, which I'm using this red top stuff over here. Stuff here is called gauging plaster. And essentially you mix this with the lime stuff because it helps the lime stuff dry quicker and it makes it a little harder, a little tougher. So that'll be our finishing coat, our veneer. It doesn't have any aggregate in it, so like no sand or rocks or anything like that. So it makes it go on really smooth and flat and flush. Which is why you would use this versus the Structuralite, which is down here. This is just a base coat because it has perlite, these little volcanic rocks in it, and you can't make it perfectly smooth. It's just not really. I mean, I suppose if you slurry coated it at the end, you could probably make it pretty good, but you know, it can only be spread as thin as the pebbles in it, essentially. Quick note, when you are mixing this stuff, guys, especially this stuff, lime is caustic. It will burn you. You don't want it in your eyes. You don't want to breathe it. Take all precautions, wear all your safety gear, long sleeve shirts, all that good stuff. Don't get that on you. So, also guys, I have been doing a massive amount of research this week and last week on plastering because it is a new skill for me. It is something I am learning. And I've really wanted to pick up and do lime on the walls upstairs, the brick walls, because lime plaster breathes. Gypsum doesn't. So if you have a wall that's susceptible to more moisture, or an exterior wall especially, lime is the better way to go. But I am having massive, massive, massive issues with finding the supplies here. They just don't exist in the Midwest for whatever reason. If you live around Boston or Philadelphia, New York, you can get this stuff. It's all manufactured up there. A lot in Pennsylvania for whatever reason. But there's just not a lot in my area. I've even looked into driving to suppliers that are in Ohio that should carry this stuff, but don't. So it's become a real issue for me. Of course, I can make my own lime plaster, just like they did back in the days, just like they've done for thousands of years. The biggest problem with it is time. I would have to soak my own lime, slake it as it's called. It takes about at least a week for it to hydrate, so it has to sit with water on top, and you have to keep checking it to make the lime putty. But it's better if it goes for like 3 months to 6 months. That's how you get the better lime putty, and of course I would like the best for my house. Then you mix up all your ingredients. You got the lime, you got horsehair or animal hair or synthetic hair, and then you mix it with sand, a fine grade sand or a thicker, coarser sand, sharp sand as they call it, for a base coat. The problem with all of that is that it takes, if you do something about 1 inch thick, it could take up to a year to dry. I don't have a year. So I'm looking desperately to figure out what I can use that at least has some lime in it, that gives me the breathability that I need on these exterior walls, that allows moisture through. The other thing is too, is with a lot of these Victorian homes, I mean, as you can see here, I mean, paper, not that this is an original paper, but paper was put on these walls from the very start. And as you guys know, glue and paper doesn't really breathe. So, and neither does paint, you know, as far as like letting moisture come through the wall. So I'm not sure how they dealt with that in the Victorian era. And it's something that's really kind of been boggling my mind a little bit. Like, how did they get the benefits of having a lime building, which is more flexible, or a lime plaster, which is more flexible and breathes and let oxygen and moisture through, while still putting paper on everything and painting everything. I'm not sure how that worked. Yeah, any insight you guys have into that, I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Or if you guys have a good solution potentially for plaster on brick that does have at least some lime in it. Because I'm trying to be not necessarily super traditional with my plaster, but I want something that works, that won't cause me so many problems down the road. I think the Structolite and the gypsum-based plaster I've been using, which is the Structolite, will be absolutely fine on internal walls. But external walls, you know, I'm just not sure yet. I think if I would have hired a guy to do it, they would have used Structolite and just been like, deal with it. But again, I'm trying to put materials back into the building that will last another 100 years. And for certain other areas of the house where I don't have to wait, or where it doesn't matter if I have to wait, you know, a year for something to dry, I think that'd be fine. But me trying to get into this building as quickly as possible, of course, you know, there's no way I can wait a year to make this product myself and apply it myself. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Yeah, plaster is not tricky to apply, in my opinion at least, but it's certainly tricky to get. Those of you in the UK, you guys have all that pre-mixed stuff that you guys can use that works absolutely perfectly. Us here in the US, we have lots of pre-mixed products that are great, but I wouldn't say they're terribly historically accurate or even necessarily that great for the building. They could be better. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. It's been somewhat of a frustrating week, trying to wrap my head around exactly what I have to do to get this building back and get it back correctly. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, guys. And let's get to work today. No more holding back, and let's get some work done. Yeah. Oh yeah, one more thing. Yes, I can get the correct plasters that I would need to do this project shipped to me from the East Coast. However, these bags weigh about 50 pounds a piece, and for 4 bags, which is about 160 bucks, not a big deal, I can afford that. The shipping on that is about $325. And to do this house, I would probably need somewhere around 50, 60, maybe or so bags. To ship that here from the East Coast would, well, it would cost me a fortune. So that's why I was thinking about driving, going and getting it. but I can't find anywhere within a reasonable driving distance to go get it. St. Louis and really the Midwest is kind of a dead zone for these historic materials, and it's kind of a bummer. But I'll figure it out, but I'll keep you guys posted. Maybe there's a road trip in my future to go grab some of these materials. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, yeah? Okay guys, so welcome back from all the time lapses this week. We actually got quite a bit of work done, and let me show you what we got done. So this here is where we were patching. I had to put the screws through every single one of these laths and all the good stuff and get everything back secured up there. Now I know a few you guys would be like, why don't you rip all of the plaster out? Well, this actually helps me, well, A, this stuff's better in general, even though it's older than the new stuff I'm putting in. And it's been there forever anyways, and if there's nothing wrong with it, I do want to keep it. It also helps with a really good guide, so when I actually put the next coat on this, I can kind of flatten everything out to be the correct width. Because right now, this is just kind of a little base coat. You can see I've put some scratches in it as well, and that's to help that next coat bind to this really well. So I've scratched it all the way up and all the way around. So that's pretty much what we're dealing with this week, guys. I should be today is Sunday, putting up another coat, but alas, I have a birthday party to attend to. My little sister is turning 9, so I gotta go do that. You know, what kind of brother would I be if I missed 9th birthdays, right? So I'm gonna go do that today. That'll be our week. Next week, you guys will see I'll basically have the entire maid's hall here done in plaster, except for this wall here. This being where the maid's window is in the stairwell. This one here, I'm working on getting some better lime plaster for it. This I'll just base coat in the veneer I have, but down here there are some issues, some broken pieces that I have to refill in, and I'd rather not use the Structuralite, the gypsum based plaster that I have, just because it won't flex as much as the lime. And it won't breathe as much. So ideally, that's the plan. Well, we'll see if we get there. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Let me take a step back. You can see it all. So yeah, guys, that's what we're working with this week. But I mean, this is one of the most unsightly places. Like, this plaster here has been gone for a long time. So to see it kind of coming back is really cool. So thank you guys, as always, for joining us. We really appreciate you guys commenting and saying all the wonderful, wonderful things. And so we really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you guys again next Monday. Goodbye.